Nerdrotic.com.
It's been 1,696 days since Amazon acquired the rights to The Lord of the Rings Second Age. And since then, we've learned quite a bit. No, not about the story, about the production. It's really expensive. They hired two inexperienced showrunners with only one partial credit to their name in J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay. That being a bad Star Trek movie. Both disciples of the Killer of Franchise's bad reboot, the worldwide best-selling story and wildly popular set of films somehow needs to appeal more to a giant global audience. This ain't gonna be your dad's Lord of the Rings, and it's going to be really diverse. Now we've already gotten a teaser, a Superfans video, a teaser of a teaser, and finally another teaser with some actual spoken dialogue, which is the problem. But not the only one. We also got a very interesting Entertainment Weekly article, and we're going to go over both right now. At time of recording, it is 50 days until the release of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power on September 2nd, the anniversary of Professor Tolkien's death. And now I understand why they put this off so long.
There was a time when the world was so young.
Ah, yes, a time before woke intersectional vandalizations of our beloved stories.
There had not yet been a sunrise. But even then, there was light.
There was light.
I love gold!
All right, we start the trailer with either CG Numenor or the CG Grey Havens. I'm guessing it's Numenor. A voiceover by Morphic Clark's Galadriel, who is nothing like J.R.R. Tolkien's Galadriel or even Cate Blanchett's Galadriel. We get a nice look at the two trees of the Valinor, Telperion and Lorelin. Of course, they lit the very flat Arda, or Middle Earth. And I'm guessing this is part of the 9 or 10 minute prologue that takes place in episode 1. What the hell was that? Are they riffing on the Ent and the Entwife song? Oh my god, that makes me think of something else. They'll probably refer to this as riffing on Tolkien at some point.
Elves have forests to protect. Dwarfs their mines. Men their fields of grain.
Sauron is after me Lucky Charms.
But we Harfoots have each other.
For I must now wander this wandering day.
We're safe.
Oh, see, Tolkien fans, they use the word wander, just like in All That Is Gold Does Not Glitter, not all those who wander are lost. Bilbo's poem about Strider. And we have our hobbits of color, Harfoots, who we wouldn't want to confuse with hobbits due to rights issues, who Tolkien never mentioned in any of the major events of the Second Age. This looks like Lindon, an elvish realm, and this is obviously Moria or Khazad-dûm, and they look okay. Not exactly blown away considering how much money was spent on this. And there is the 100% original character from Amazon, Nori Brandyfoot, or female Frodo. And here it says based on the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, but there's been a bit of a shift in the marketing language. I've noticed that shift in language in the last couple of articles, including the most recent from Entertainment Weekly. The Rings of Power isn't a direct adaptation of an existing Tolkien novel. Instead, it's inspired by the author's extensive notes published in the appendices of The Lord of the Rings. Well, that's certainly different from what they said in the Empire article. You can psych yourself out in keeping up with the Joneses, but one of the mantras of this was go back to the source material, McKay explains. What would Tolkien do? Probably gouge your eyes out with this pipe. Of course, these are the showrunners who convinced all the shills after an all-expenses-paid trip, 20 minutes of footage, and a gift bag that they could write the novel that Tolkien never wrote. They were possibly misquoted. Maybe they meant to say they are going to write the novel that Tolkien wouldn't write, or more accurately, didn't write.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel. Put up your sword.
And there we have two scenes cut together with a voiceover by Robert R. Mayo's Elrond, who looks far more like a young Ned Stark who he played in Game of Thrones than Elrond, but he does represent one thing in this trailer: the patriarchy.
The enemy is still out there. The question now is where?
It is over.
You have not seen what I have seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
And Warrior Galadriel, who looks like she bathed in Cheetos in this scene, shout out to Nerd Cookies, represents intersectional feminism. To be fair, that was the one thing that was always missing from Professor Tolkien's works: modern American university identity constructs. To be clear, this is forced and cringe dialogue. Why in the hell would Elrond be talking to Galadriel, his elder and eventual grandmother, like this? I can't even call it a relatively new phenomenon that's been going on for a few years now. A woman can only be empowered when she's one-upping a man, no matter how ridiculous the scenario. Now, I'm going to get into this again in just a little bit. To state the obvious, though, this is a trailer. Every single detail is meticulously poured over for marketing purposes. And yes, certain speech is supposed to have double meaning. It's supposed to let you supposedly know what the story is about, which we don't really know quite yet. And it's also supposed to tell you the message. Quickly, we'll get to this quote-unquote vision. This is either the fall of Numenor, it could be a part of the prologue and the War of Wrath, or it could come from what I will now forever call the Great Cheeto Battle in episode 7. And yes, I'm aware of generally what happens in this series, and I've told you a couple of things, including Celeborn being dead. The legend begins of Warrior Galadriel, or quite possibly the biggest flop in television history.
Darkness will march over the face of the earth.
And our imaginations. Oh, look, the female orcs. Women, do you feel seen?
It will be the end, not just of our people, but all peoples.
Quickly, we have some repeated footage from the teaser for this teaser. Galadriel on a ship, sailing on the Sundering Seas, I imagine. Gil-galad, who stands out like a sore thumb because he looks like an actual elf. Female Sam and female Frodo. And Miriel, who we'll get to in just a second.
I am sorry.
I'm just not buying Robert R. Mayo as Elrond. The dwarves look fine, and they look like they're walking in front of a green screen.
I am sorry, but their time has come.
I'm going to assume that's King Durin III, who looks fine. And yes, this looks a lot like Tormund Giantsbane climbing the wall in Game of Thrones, and we all know what Jeff Bezos said he wanted. Now, considering this is Amazon fan fiction and they're making most of this up as they go, it could be anything, or it could be the flight of the Noldor over the Helcarax, and they just wanted it to look like Game of Thrones.
The past is with us all.
First of all, where the hell did Don Lemon get a fade in Middle-earth? And the past is with us all. I wonder where Amazon is going with this one. But before we get to that very predictable answer, once again, yes, I am unfortunately aware of what happens in this series through episode 8. And most of it isn't from the books. But Sauron does show up eventually. It's a bit of a mystery. I won't tell you who it is here, but you can go to Nerdrotic Daily and find out if you like.
With us all.
Look at that armor. Is that moob armor? So we've gone from boob armor to moob armor.
The past is dead. We either move forward or we die with it.
There it is. They go full Last Jedi. Like I said earlier, this is a trailer that is meticulously gone over by the marketing departments, the producers, the showrunners, and Amazon overall. And this is not an accident. Hold my pint, Disney Star Wars. Very subtle, Amazon. Unfortunately, that didn't get by anyone, and it probably led to yet another trailer being ratioed. At time of recording, it's currently sitting at 39,000 likes and 71,000 dislikes. And a quick reminder, the Return the YouTube Dislike Chrome extension tends to estimate low. Let's take a look at my dislikes. We'll go to a video I released on July 3rd, Amazon subverts Lord of the Rings, which is currently sitting publicly at 182 dislikes. Not bad. But the truth is, it's sitting at 456 dislikes. You can go ahead and do the math on the Rings of Power trailer at home. Safe to say it's a lot more than 71,000 dislikes, and let's please keep in mind that YouTube removed the dislike button to protect the smaller creators. Like Amazon, Disney, and the White House.
Or we die with it.
Now that is definitely Pharazôn, who eventually becomes our Pharazôn. R means king. He is the last king of Numenor who eventually sacrifices humans to Melkor under the guidance of Sauron. Here he is pictured in the EW article with a young Elendil and Isildur, you should know that name, and Queen Regent Miriel. And none of them should be interacting with Galadriel on Numenor, and none of them should be alive right now, seeing that they were born centuries after the forging of the Rings of Power, which hasn't happened yet.
This could be the beginning of a new era.
Well, I'm sure Amazon is hoping it's the beginning of a new era, since they have committed to 5 seasons of the CW's Lord of the Rings.
The beginning of a new era.
These look like actual elves, and this might be the Oath of Feanor, which would be in the 9 to 10 minute prologue in the first episode. And we have an alternate shot of what we saw in the first teaser, the Elf of Color, Don Lemon, doing a backflip over a warg. Then we have the symbol of Tolkien femininity, the bloodthirsty warrior Galadriel, who not only slays orcs, she slays trolls and bathes in Cheetos. And we end this epic trailer of corporate product mediocrity with diverse Harfoots walking down a hill. Badly. What's up with this one? Having trouble with the fake prosthetic feet, or was it just a bad trip to the bathroom? Objectively, at best, you can say this is extremely average. The music, the visuals, I've heard from some that the visuals were stunning. No, they're missing heart, they're missing soul, they're missing Tolkien. The beauty of his books and what was done very well in the Peter Jackson original trilogy was in his language, for which Amazon has none to adapt. This brings us to the EW article, where we have a better picture of the Moob and Boob armor, and Cheeto Galadriel, and Community Theater Numenor. Now, we're not going to go over the whole thing because it's largely fluff, just a couple of highlights. We were not interested in doing a show about the younger version of the same world you knew, except you're doing younger versions of the same world we know, where it's a little bit of a prequel. No, this is a lot of bit of a prequel. It's the second age before the third age. McKay explains, we wanted to go way back and find a story that could exist on its own 2 feet by buying an established story that was meticulously put together that you could vandalize. This is one that we felt hadn't been told on the level and on the scale and with the depth that we felt it deserved. Depth, huh? With dialogue like this.
It is over.
You have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
You did not. Yes, I did. You did not. Yes, I did. Didn't. Yes, I did. Didn't. Yes, I did.
And as far as what should be told, well, the author says it himself from the press release of the upcoming Fall of Numenor book. J.R.R. Tolkien famously described the Second Age of Middle-earth as a dark age, and not very much of its history is or need be told. That, of course, changed when Christopher Tolkien, may he rest in peace, released The Silmarillion in 1977, a book that Amazon doesn't have the rights to. Back to the contradictory EW article, the showrunners, J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, note that Tolkien never wanted his stories to directly echo real-world politics, and they feel the same way about the Rings of Power. Still, Payne points out there's something deeply relatable and timely about the anxieties and political divisiveness racking the fictional island of Numenor. Oh, this one's my favorite. For fans worried about conflicting canon, McKay and Payne point to one of Tolkien's published letters where he wrote about wanting other minds and hands to create art in his legendarium. Not true. It was a hypothetical. Go read the letter for yourself, but they're always using this to justify things like Warrior Galadriel. Still, J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay conveniently forget about this letter from Bounding Into Comics. J.R.R. Tolkien torched a Lord of the Rings film treatment for being treated carelessly. Feel free to read the entire letter at Bounding Into Comics. This is my favorite quote: "The canons of narrative in any medium cannot be wholly different, and the failing of poor films or TV show adaptations is often precisely in exaggeration and in the intrusion of unwarranted matter, owing to not perceiving where the core of the original lies." And as far as any major changes to Tolkien's characters, well, he has a quote about that too. I do earnestly hope that in the assignment of actual speeches to the characters, they will be represented as I presented them in style and sentiment, and I should resent perversion of the characters. I may be going out on a limb here, but I'm guessing that if Tolkien were around or Christopher Tolkien were around, they would resent the perversion of his entire work. As I stated earlier, this trailer and the teaser for this trailer, which mysteriously showed up on YouTube, are both getting ratioed. And as far as the comments are concerned, none have been deleted yet that I know of, but I'm sure that is coming, and they haven't been much kinder. From the other guy, it will be a visually stunning piece of crap. All flash, no depth. All because Amazon thought they could write the stories of Tolkien better than he could. I hope everyone that worked on this has something that they love trampled on and shat upon so they can know how the fans of Tolkien feel. And as far as that Last Jedi vibe goes, the past is dead, well, again, that didn't get by many people. The past is dead. We either move forward or die with it. I'll die with it, thanks. Nice barb slipped in there by Amazon. The past is dead. Sounds like some serious Peter Jackson envy. Taking a note from The Last Jedi, I see, huh? The past is dead. We either move forward or die with it is most telling. Tolkien is antiquated. We can do it better. The line is very deliberate and damning. The past is dead. We either move on or die with it, says a show based on books written to be a mythological history for England that's getting released on the anniversary of the author's death. Oh, I don't doubt this one at all. I think the Hobbit movies are about to get a lot more appreciation than they did when they were first released. There are so many, but we'll end on this one. I'm so happy that Peter Jackson's trilogy was created 20 years ago. Me too. Well, that wraps it up for this trailer reaction. I thought the effects, the best thing about it, were average at best. The music was average at best. The dialogue was terrible, and everything about the story, what little we know, is wrong. Galadriel didn't wear armor. She didn't slay orcs. She didn't slay trolls. She didn't go to Numenor. She wouldn't dick measure with Elrond, who was actually at the War of Wrath when she wasn't. Outside of those two, Celebrimbor and Gil-galad, half the characters wouldn't be born for centuries, and the other half shouldn't be in the story at all. As I've said before, I would love nothing more than for this to be the best show on television. Unfortunately, although I haven't seen the show yet, I've seen this story before.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
The past is dead. We either move forward or we die with it.
And the only difference this time, and I'm sure you've noticed because Amazon has, the Lord of the Rings fans ain't having it. And my friends,
You bow to no one.
Nerdrotic.com.
The enemy is still out there. The question now is where?
It is over.
You have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
Destroy it!